Hey, everybody. I thought I had started streaming before this, but I didn't, so we're just jumping right in. Back on that perfect date. Dating some cats. So we finished up chapter 1, in which Iris became a cat to be sweeties with McMurphy. And now Simon is her replacement research assistant. And he is just starting to learn about all of the mysteries of Cat Island or whatever it is. So let's check in with Simon. I made it back to the lab fairly quickly, considering how little sleep I've had. I wonder if that's one of the effects of the feline transition. I imagine my agility levels will change. I'm strangely excited about getting to work on the antidote. It's the sort of challenge I love. I'm just about to enter the lab to begin my legitimate work when the catalog beeps a message without any contact information. Oh, shit. Ominous, I don't have time to work this puzzle out right now, though. I'm already going to be late for work if I don't get a move on. So it said before it blooped out, it said, like, sometimes it's best to keep things to oneself or something along those lines. The professor is already working when I arrive, but miraculously, I'm not late, so there's no fuss. I get through the day as efficiently as possible and head back to my tent as soon as my work is done. Good, I was just telling you that you're distracting. Because you are. Were you actually gonna play it? I mean, like, seriously, were you going to play the cat dating sim? I cannot see what you're typing in Discord, Brian. Jesus. You would? Aw, well, I'm sorry. I mean, I guess you don't have to watch, but I'd like it if someone did. Because right now I think I have an average viewer number of 0. Just super cool. Torque. Alright. I'm gonna do... Don't I have this set up for controls? I guess no. I thought I had this set up to work with my controller, but I guess not, because the controller's not working. So, boo. I'm gonna do a romance. I am going to romance Floofy Butt. Of course I am. I guess I can't romance McMurphy anymore because he's sweeties with Iris. Floofy Butt. I'm not sure what to expect. I've come to the forest with Floofy Butt for what I assumed would be a pleasant way to spend my afternoon off work. But I've now discovered that he's billing it as an informative afternoon of instruction and practical participation. Yeah, so, you missed the beginning there. So, like, you kind of go through this short little playthrough as Iris, and then Iris turns into a cat, to be with McMurphy, and you start playing as her replacement, basically, and you can date any of the cats except the ones that she romanced. And since I basically am, yes. Since there were 6, I think, characters I could choose from at the beginning, and there are 6 chapters, I assume that this is just going to keep going. And there are 6 cats you can date. So I assume this is just going to keep going. So, like, it's kind of a new playthrough, but it's kind of not, if that makes sense. Yeah, you pick a character to play. That sounds suspiciously like a lecture to me. Oh well, as Professor Popper would say, a scientist must keep an open mind. This is something I would normally do alone, but you strike me as a like-minded soul, interested in both gastronomic and anatomic pleasures. Oh, jeez, floofy butt. Yeah, Simon looks thrilled with this. Perhaps now would be a good time to lay down the blanket I asked you to bring. We don't want to put that tender skin of yours under duress. Oh my gosh, floofy butt. Yep. There are multiple genders. There are 3 men and 3 women for playable characters, and I think it's split about the same way between the cats, too. I think there are 3 female cats and 3 male cats. Well, technically one of the cats is an unknown currently, but Simon doesn't look really happy about this. Seems very uncomfortable. I lay the blanket on the ground awkwardly and wonder where he's going with this. Relax, Simon. This doesn't usually take very long. Suddenly, without warning, there's a loud plop as a bird plummets out of the sky onto the blanket. What? Told you so. Oh my, it's dead. As a doornail. Look, he's so pleased with himself. He's so cute. But what happened to it? Just the force field, of course. Now enough foolish questions, Simon. Let's get started, shall we? Just like the lecturers from my uni. What exactly are we doing here, Floofy Butt? Told you, don't use that ridiculous name. I prefer Major, if you please. He'll always be Floofy Butt to me. What exactly are we doing here, Major? This is my little surprise. I'm a bird fancier. Oh, and you fancy your birds dead? Quite. All the better to practice my other pursuits. I know I'm gonna regret asking this, but what pursuit would that be, Major? I'm a self-taught pathologist. Ah! Love it. Major is the best cat. You mean as in post-mortem? Somewhat rudimentary, don't you know, but I can find my way around the innards of the average seagull with remarkable dexterity. Yes, well, whatever floats your boat. I'm interested in crossword puzzles myself. Not everyone's cup of tea, but it occupies a wet afternoon. Okay, back to the task at hand, Simon. I shall now begin the autopsy. Keep your wits about you. There will be questions at the end. He's so serious. Aha! Knew this was a lecture. Floofy Butt pings out a razor-sharp claw and begins going to town on the bird. Oh, ew. Incision from sternum to base. On first examination, the skeleton appears to be typical. I note there is no break in the neck, indicating that the force field, rather than the fall, killed the bird. I feel rather queasy. Oh, really? Yes, point of interest. Sometimes the initial zap the bird receives from flying into the force field merely stuns them, and it is the impact of the fall which provides the fatal blow. This chap, however, appears to have suffered cardiac arrest. You can see from the size, or lack thereof, of the heart that even a minor jolt could be enough to induce seizure. Having removed the tiny organ, Major has now begun digging around inside the carcass as though rummaging in a lucky dip. What is a lucky dip? Ew. I don't know what that is. It sounds gross. Now removing entrails for further examination. Oh, do get a better look, Simon. It's rather revealing. I can see something in the stomach sack. Stomach sack? Looks like... Oh my, it's gold. Our lucky day, Simon. Here, have a look. It's some kind of nugget. Is it a chicken nugget? No thank you, Major. I'm not in the mood for playing with the contents of a seagull's stomach. Don't be ridiculous. This is not a game, Simon. May I remind you that we are in the middle of a very serious postmortem, and I expect you, as my assistant, to maintain professionalism. My stomach is doing flips as I hold the object between thumb and forefinger. What is this thing? It's so small, it kind of looks like a... Cripes, it's a tooth! Major, it's a gold tooth! Okay, so a lucky dip is a game in which prizes are covered up and mixed together in a container so that contestants can dip their hand into the container and randomly pull out a prize. Interesting. That is not a thing I had ever heard of. Ah, good find. You're a natural. I can't help but wonder why a seagull would have a gold tooth in its stomach. Presumably, Major, this is from the mouth of a human. I think you're probably right. So how did it get in this seagull? What an inquiring mind! You would make an excellent apprentice. If you like, I could pass on to you the skills I've acquired. That would be a feather in your cap, eh? Well, thank you for Googling that, Brian. Appreciate it. I resign myself to the fact that he's not going to be drawn into speculation. Okay, well, I'll bear that in mind, Major. I don't have the heart to tell him I came top of my class at veterinary surgery. And you're grossed out by this? I mean, come on. And now, to the victor, the spoils. Don't be shy, I've already carved. Ew. Oh gosh. Do you mean... Of course! Tuck in! We won't stand on ceremony here. It's a good one, too. Plenty of fat. I have to think fast. Do I really want to eat raw seagull carved up by a cat on the forest floor? Heck yeah, you do! Tuck in! Suppose it would be frightfully rude to refuse now, seeing as he's gone to all the trouble of carving. No, silly me. I already had lunch before we came out, but it looks so delicious that I simply must try a bit. A tiny bit. A morsel. Very well, Simon. Then I shall leave you the tastiest part of all. The liver. The cat deftly tears an organ out of the carcass and presents it to me on a flat paw. Very fatty. Oh wow, that's too much, Major. I mean, too generous. As tempted as I am, I simply couldn't— Nonsense, Simon. I would feel a very poor host indeed if my guest refused my hospitality. Okay, Simon, you can do this. Think of it as liver and onions, the way Mum makes it. Okay, breathe. Don't think about it. Just take it and swallow it whole like an iron pill. I'm really gonna enjoy this seagull liver. I snatch it out of the cat's paw, and it's in my mouth before my brain can catch up. This is really gross. Oh no. It's in my throat. It's lodged in my throat. I can't swallow it. How do I... Crikey, that was a close call. I catch the organ in my clenched fist and simultaneously give Floofy Butt the thumbs up. Oh nice, so he coughed it up. Exquisite. My compliments to the cat. Quite so. Next time, make sure you have an empty stomach. Unlike this chap, eh? Floofy Butt holds up the gold tooth and laughs. I try to force a laugh, but I'm suddenly overwhelmed with nausea. Had a truly lovely time here, Major, but I'm afraid I must go now. So soon? Sadly so. Work calls. Well, I suppose that can't be helped, but let's do this again soon, eh? Yes, of course. Soon. I can hardly wait. As I run home, feeling the slimy, sticky mess clinging to my hand, I curse myself for not bringing my antiseptic gel. Next time, I will be prepared. Okay, so should I do a research? Should I do a recon? Let's do a research. I mean, I guess I could do anything. but... Alright, so I have one option for research, so I will do that. Grooming cats. I never thought I could add feline hairstylist to my CV, but it looks like today is my lucky day. I put on my latex gloves and gather my tools. Brush, scissors, swabs, kitty wipes. What's a kitty wipe? I can't help but think I've forgotten something. How are the sound levels, Brian? Am I too loud? Is the music hearable? Ah, of course. Treats. I leave the tent and head for the lab, stopping to stroke a few of the island's residents on the way. Meow, meow, meow. What is happening, Simon? Why, you have whiskers. I call out to the lazing subjects as I enter the lab. Yay, thank you. Looky, looky, what have I got? I shake the bag of treats, and the small lab erupts with hungry meows. If you want these, you'll have to behave, okay? I open the first crate, home of the grouchy old Mr. Bumble, and I gently lift him onto the counter to be groomed. Morning, Grumpy. Let me check your ears. No debris. Lovely. I have a feeling you may be discharged in the next day or two. He was brought in with a mild infection, slight temperature, weepy eyes, but he seems to have recovered remarkably well. In fact, I'm going to recommend to Professor Popper that we release him by the end of the week. I give Mr. Bumble a cheeky cuddle before I begin to brush his matted fur. Wow, where does it all come from? There's enough fur here to make another cat. Sounds like Theon. Mr. Bumble is beginning to get agitated and lets out a displeased grumble. It does not sound like Theon. She loves being groomed. I know, it's very annoying. Just got to trim you up a bit, and then you can get back to sleep. He resignedly lets me cut some of the hair around his bum and the back of his hind legs. Aren't you a good boy? Here we go. Nom nom. I pour some of the little fish-shaped treats onto the counter, and the ragamuffin practically inhales them. Now, let's get you back to your cozy crate. I tuck him away and open the next one. Your turn, Socks. Just a cut and color, yeah? I snort at my own joke and begin brushing the little white cat. He's a lot more lively than old Bumble and keeps trying to bite the brush. Hey, don't make me get the harness, Socks. That's no fun for either of us. The cat seems to understand and settles down, only giving the brush an occasional nip when he thinks I won't notice. Oh, hello, what's this? I notice a little red patch on his neck, just under his chin. Oh no, we don't have botflies, do we? Poor Soxy. I take the magnifying glass out of my inner pocket and examine the inflamed area closer. Oh gosh, if it's botflies, you're really gonna think this is gross, Brian. Ouch. Socks begins to struggle away from me. He must be in quite a lot of discomfort. It's okay, Socks, I'm just looking. I stroke the little cat to try and calm him down. I hate using sedatives on the subjects unless absolutely necessary. After a while, I'm able to get a better look at the wound. There doesn't seem to be anything living under there. I'm relieved I don't have to deal with any botflies. It looks strange. It's like a rash or a sore, but I'm not sure how or where he could have picked it up. I'm wary about how to proceed. Should I just clean it with some saline solution and let the air get to it? Or should I put some of the professor's soothing Cream 116 on it and wrap it in gauze? Let's do saline first, I think. I sort of like this should be cleaned with a little saline. No need for anything stronger. I'll reassess the need for Cream 116 if it hasn't cleared up in a few days. Pour some saline on some gauze and gently clean Soxy's wound. He squirms a little. It's not very comfortable for him, but generally he sits pretty well, and it's done in no time. Yes, new unlocks. More research. Research 6 is unlocked. Let's get to a little more romance, huh? That's what we're here. It's what we're all here for, is dating cats. Oh, I guess when I choose one over the other, I then can no longer. I have to continue romancing the one. So why does it even give me the option after the second time? That's I don't understand. Maybe it's just Snooty Booty doesn't like when I don't date her? I don't know. Let's see Floofy Butt again. Sorry, Major. Do hold your hand still, Simon. I could hardly see a thing with you shaking like that. I hold the binoculars stable in front of Floofy Butt's tiny cat face. He looks ridiculous. It's like you're not even trying, Simon. You're shaking like a leaf. My hands are totally steady, Major. Ever consider it could just be your eyesight? I'll have you know that I have the keen eyes of a goat. Are they known for their eyesight? Oh, goats aren't exactly known for their vision, Major. That's just because the world is full of ignorami. Well, what can you see? I can only see a couple of Muellers, lazing about, of course, scratching at their fleas. Filthy things, I tell you. Aha! What? One of the bigger ones is emptying its bladder. That could mean that they do eat and drink on a regular schedule. And we were able to find out where their water supply is. We could lace it with a mild sedative and bring the incapacitated sample to the beach and... Please don't finish that sentence. No cats will be harmed during this mission. Oh please, the subject will not be harmed, just slightly bewildered for a day or two. But why, Major? Well, to examine it for a start. Also, I should like to see how they react when one of theirs go missing for a change. Major, I only agreed to help you with this on the promise that you will not attempt to exact any kind of retribution on the elders. Examination is one thing, but if you can't keep your end of the deal, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to withdraw. Okay, I'll just observe. I replace the binoculars in front of Floofy Butt's keen goat eyes. Well, what do we have here? Found something? I do believe I have. There's a few elders here who seem to be meditating. Meditating? Are you sure they're not just sleeping? Take a look, will you? Tell me they aren't meditating. No, yeah, those cats are up to fucking something. I adjust the binoculars to suit my eyes, and am quite taken aback by what I see. Fluffy Butt is right. Floofy Butt, sorry, is right. The cats aren't sleeping. They're sitting in a circle around what is by far one of the stranger landmarks on the island, a large statue of Bestet. Professor Popper has always dodged my questions about what on earth a statue of the Egyptian cat goddess of war is doing on this island. I'm even more intrigued now. The cats seem to be listening, or contemplating, or even meditating. Well, Major, I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation for their behavior. Cats often behave quite strangely, I've found. Well, they're strange, and they're strange. And my experience teaches me that the type of strangeness that this class are affected with is beyond acceptable. I believe the only way to protect us all is total disassociation. Major, do you hear yourself? We're here, practically trespassing on their territory so that you can spy on them while they're doing whatever it is they're doing, and you want to dissociate from them? One must know one's enemy, Simon. How are they your enemy, Major? They've never done anything to you. Oh no? Those Muellers are wholly responsible for the problems on this cursed island, and it's about time they were held accountable. They are the carriers of the cat virus. If it weren't for them, you wouldn't be afflicted with the illness. Oh, is that so? Because I distinctly remember it was you lot who deliberately put me in danger in the first place. The elders are just cats. Just cats. Okay, so I don't think that Simon's relationship with Floofy Butt is going particularly well. So I'm a little confused there on how that's gonna play out. Just cats, eh? Oh, I see. I realize what I've just said, and although I didn't intend it the way the Major has taken it, I can see how wounded he is. I feel conflicted. On the one hand, I want to take a stand against his bigotry. It is not helping our progress, and I believe it may end up ruining our friendship. On the other hand, I know he has a good heart. As Trixie says, he's stuck in his ways, and it would be wrong of me to start pushing my views onto him. Perhaps I can lead by example and practice a little more tolerance myself. Oh, what should I do? Should I be diplomatic and quiet? Should I stand up for what I believe in? Which will Floofy Butt respond to the best? I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. I think. You know exactly what I mean, Major. Don't add me to your list of enemies. Oh no, you're not my enemy, Simon. I'm just very disappointed to find out that you are as gullible as the other. So, believing those creatures to be harmless, that we ought to embrace them with open arms. Those creatures. Major, please, you must stop this ridiculous thinking, or I may have to dissociate myself from you. Oh, really? I do not understand how such a seemingly intelligent human being can be so narrow-minded. I could say the very same about you, Major. Me, narrow-minded? Never heard anything more ludicrous. I have a voracious appetite for knowledge. For things that interest you. Well, yes, but isn't that the case for all of us? As a scientist, I need to explore beyond what I want to know, beyond what suits my sensibilities. Well, here I am, Simon, exploring what I don't like one bit. He has a smug look on his face that is very annoying. Have you ever tried communicating with the elders? Floofybutt scoffs loudly. Those Muellers do not share our language, Simon. How exactly do you expect me to communicate with them? The very notion is laughable. Oh, is it? Here I am, Major, a human, having a two-way, somewhat intelligent discussion with a cat. Is that not laughable, too? Floofybutt goes uncharacteristically quiet. I sense I have hit a nerve, and decide to retreat. Perhaps we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, Major, or we'll fall out entirely. Quite. Thank you for joining me today, Simon, but I can manage from here. Your assistance is no longer required. Oh, okay, Major. I'll just put your binoculars here then, shall I? As you wish. I place them on a little patch of grass and step away. Floofybutt eyes them, and I watch his expression change as his dilemma dawns on him. He decides not to attempt using them while I'm watching. I'll leave you to it then? Yes, thank you, but I'm fine now. I shall be doing other reconnaissance, and I'm better off alone. I feel bad for him, and don't want us to part on an argument. I'm on feeding duty today. I'll keep something back for you. Come and find me later when you feel hungry. Thank you, Simon. Good afternoon. He's clearly going to take a while to get over this, and I don't want to make things worse, so without saying another word, the Tabby and I part ways. As I make my way back to camp, I go over what happened between us, wondering if I could have handled Major better. Although I may have hurt his feelings, I feel satisfied that tough love was the right way to go. There's no way our friendship progressed without honesty and respect. I have every faith in him, and that he'll come by later when his stomach's rumbling. Okay, so now recon, I think. Oh, no, I've got to rest. You had a lovely nap and wake up feeling revitalized. Your energy has been restored. Magic. Now recon. So I can do 2 or 7. Let's do 2. I think. Phenomenon at a nearby rock pool. Or snoots can bring you something intriguing. I like Trixie. Let's do this. I've taken some time off today so that Trixie can show me the water pools she's been telling me about. I have some sample bottles in my backpack, along with some food and a blanket. If it's nice, we can have a picnic lunch there. So these pools appear to be different colors? They don't appear to be. Umi? They are. Well, we can't prove that until we've tested them. Reflection, refraction, and dispersion can play some fancy tricks on the eye. Pooh to your testing. You take all the magic away, science person. It makes your world very dull, I think. Maybe you're right, Trixie. Let's wait and see what wonders you are going to show me. Eh? That's right. This way. She's disappeared from sight. I run to the cliffside where she was walking, and looking over the edge, I can see that she's jumped to a small rock shelf about 4 meters down from where I'm stood. Come on, you can do it. Don't be a fraidy cat. I'm more concerned about how I'll get up again, actually. There are kind of steps further along, but this way's closer to the entrance. Not wanting to appear too much of a killjoy, I clamber over the edge and lower myself down, dropping the last few feet. Impressive! You're getting a feline spring in your step. If you say so. I'm worried I may have twisted my ankle, but I don't want to say anything. Follow me, Springy. She's disappeared again. It's like keeping up with a jackrabbit. Follow my voice. And suddenly an alarming sound is coming from between two rock faces. It's a high-pitched screeching and very loud. I squeeze through the crevice and am in what looks like a cave without a ceiling. Trix, stop! The sound is so amplified in this enclosure, it has become deafening. Sorry, Humi, but it feels so good. Have a try. What? Yell, shout, scream, sing, at the top of your voice, loud as you can. Oh, really? I feel self-conscious, but I'm dying to have a go. You only live once, and it's so fabulous. She makes the noise again, and this time I join in. It's fantastic. The acoustics are something else. It's like an amphitheater. Eventually, we run out of steam, and I flop to the ground, exhausted, but exhilarated too. After we've caught our breath, I'm ready to push onwards. We better get on if we don't want to be back too late. We're here! I'm surprised. I was expecting something more impressive, I suppose. This is the place? I look around, and for the first time I notice several small pools of water, not much larger than puddles, around the edges of the enclosure. Oh, I see. I bend down next to the nearest pool and see straight away that it is the deepest red. Looks like blood. Look at mine, like liquid sky. I cross to the opposite side where Trixie is sitting, and sure enough, there is the clearest, richest blue water. And melted emeralds? Again, I follow her to another pool, as green as spring foliage. Then another of deepest purple, one of orange, yellow, pink. Well, it certainly is as amazing as you said, Trix. How strange that they are all so different. What's causing it? It has to be a trick of the light. Put your hand in. Well, I'm not sure that's a good idea. There could be any number of bacteria making this happen. Best not to touch it until we're sure it's safe. I've done it lots. It's fine. I glance over and sure enough, she has her furry little paws in the golden color water. Somewhat reassured, I scoop some of the blue water up and sniff it. It smells wonderful, as though it has been perfumed. What is that smell? It's weirdly familiar. I take out my bottles and begin collecting the waters. My theory about the light is blown when I line the bottles up together, and they each retain their original hue. Something is dyeing the water. I can't wait to get back to the lab to run some tests. We can go back the easy way if you like. Follow me. We head back along the rock shelf and go past the spot we jumped on the way here. Further along there is an ascent, just as Trixie said, but I would hardly call it steps. Someone has clearly tried to make a trail here, but it's all a bit rough and ruddy. Further along still, I can make out a large empty metal drum. It's rusted, obviously discarded some time ago. I get a closer look and see that there is a tap near the base, and the remains of a label, but I can barely make out the words. I take a picture of it with my catalog to decipher later. The perfume I smelled in the cave seems to be stronger here. I am very intrigued. Trixie couldn't be less interested in all of this. She is happily skipping ahead looking for a good picnic spot for us. I will have to be patient with my investigations. So that was recon, so more romance. Romance and cats. Floofy butt again. So really don't have any other options. I've been walking for ages, Major. I don't have much longer before they'll expect me back. Almost there. It needs to be as close to the danger zone as possible to deter snoopers. Few cats, and even fewer humans, come out this far, which ensures that my deposits are safe. Is he pooping? Deposits? This is an act of trust, you understand. I believe that our recent disagreement and resulting reconciliation has made our bond of camaraderie stronger than ever, and I would like to solidify our reunion with the sharing of something quite private and important to me. I feel slightly awkward and mumble incoherently in response. Yes, well, what's past is past. Water under the bridge and all that. I am delighted, though, that you have reviewed and modified some of your stronger opinions, Major. updated your map, so to speak. Indeed, though, for the record, I'm still uneasy about the elders, but I grant that finding a way to speak with them might provide more insight than I'd assumed. Well, we really are on the same page now, Major. We come to a halt. I can smell the pungent scent of the elder cats. I've not been this close to them since that first night, and it makes me uncomfortable, but I feel surprisingly reassured to be with Floofy Butt. This is it. We must be completely silent now, so you will have to cease that unattractive sound you're making. I'm out of breath, Major, I can't help it. What I'm about to show you has taken a long time and a lot of effort on my part. If anyone else should get wind of its whereabouts, or even its existence. Yes, okay, Major, I get it. I swear the most prestigious of pinky promises that I will not utter a word to anyone about what I see today. Floofy Butt seems satisfied and makes an effort to straighten himself out before motioning towards a large tree. This, my dear, is my treasure. Oh, my goodness, what a handsome tree you have there, Major. Very tall and proud looking. Congratulations. Oh, for goodness sake, come over here. Floofy Butt leads me around the enormous tree to its hidden side, which has a large hollow in it that looks like it leads to a tunnel. Good God, man. Are you digging an escape route out of here? What on earth are you twittering about? Use your eyes more and your mouth less, my dear. I noticed then that hidden in the dark recesses of the tree is the outline of a large object which my eyes won't allow me to see clearly. What is it, Major? Don't be shy, Simon. Get in there and have a proper look. I have no choice but to crawl into the cavity for closer inspection. I run my fingers over the item and deduce that it is made out of old, splintering wood and has cold, metal adornments on either side. I use them to drag it out of the tree, and in the half-light, I'm somewhat unsurprised to see that it is an old-fashioned treasure chest. I would expect nothing less from the Major. Floofy Butt is looking at me expectantly. Well, open it, my dear. You needn't worry about the lock. It's quite broken. I do as instructed. Oh, my giddy aunt. Major, how on earth? My giddy aunt. The chest is full to the brim with all sorts of shiny things. Jewelry, gems, coins, trinkets, ornaments, baubles, and all manner of curios. Floofy Butt lets out a low laugh. Allow me to regale you, human, with my vast adventures and conquests. I settle down and allow the Major's voice to wash over me as I play with some items of frippery from the chest. Ah, that coin you're holding. There's a very interesting story attached to that. Do you know how old it is, Simon? I do believe the date on it should still be legible. I remember the night I found it. I'd gone for a walk along the beach. It was blustery and dark. I feel for the first time how exhausted I am. The walk has sapped me of all my energy. And as I fought with the elements, I look ahead and notice the sky is much darker. I'm laying down, although I don't remember doing so. Valiant and victorious to thunderous applause. I hear a low grumbling sound. Thunder? And a flashing behind my now closed eyes. Surely it's a storm, but there's no rain. It's odd. No wet. Just warm and dry and hard to breathe. And I bellowed defiantly, "You cannot have them!" But the Muellers were already encircling. I should really get up now. Oh, it seems my eyes won't open. That's a pity. As I bit into the still beating heart. I do believe I'm paralyzed. That is a shame. I try to move my fingers. Nope, they're not listening to me. What in the fuck? Wake up! We have to get you out of here this instant. Up you get. That's it. Come on. Flurfy Bert. This is a hell of a thing that's happening to me. As I come to, the world looks dark and distorted. I must be walking because trees are passing my line of vision. My hands hurt. I look down at them and they're pressed firmly to the earth, one moving in front of the other. I must be crawling? Flurfy Bert. I don't know how much time has passed, but I wake up on the sand. I inspect my blistering hands. Floofy Butt is standing next to me, facing the sea. It's Flurfy Bert now. Oh my gosh. So good. Did I dream all that? Oh, you're awake. No, I'm afraid you weren't dreaming. What happened? It was my fault. I took you too close to the danger zone, and in your current state, you couldn't handle it. In my current state? Your feline transition is still in its early stages. It seems to be progressing particularly slowly in you. So I'm still very vulnerable to the effects of the Elder territory. Quite. I was foolish. I didn't think. I was too interested in myself, my stories, my treasure, to protect you properly. Please forgive me. Yeah, no, dude, it's fine. Oh, it's okay, Major. Don't upset yourself. I had a lot of fun until the whole blackout thing. Floofy Butt looks genuinely pleased. Really? I've been told I'm a very good raconteur. One of the best. How much did you hear? I'm sorry? How many of my anecdotes did you hear before you succumbed? I would be happy to repeat anything you missed. Oh, no, really, Major. I'm fairly certain I heard them all. Well, if you're quite sure. I am, and besides, I think I have a migraine coming on. Well, in that case, you must allow me to nurse you until you are fully recovered. Okay, Major. It's a deal. Major? Yes? Why do I have earrings in my hair? I had to pelt you with jewelry to get you to wake up. Ah, of course. If you don't mind, Major, I think I need to get back to sleep. I lay back down on the warm sand and curl into a ball. I'll be here when you wake up. I drift off and dream that I'm a cat. Okay, so that was romance, so it's time for researching again. And research 6 is the only one I've got available. Follicle miracle. It's time for some serious testing in the lab. I'm intrigued to see what kind of work the professor has up his sleeve. My stomach is queasy. I really don't want to do this. It's strange. I'm used to treating subjects with medication and injections, but something about this doesn't feel right. Hello, you. I smile at the gentle cat on the table in front of me. I look at the syringe in my hand. I turn to the professor. What are we testing for with these meds again? He looks up from his desk. Is there a problem, Simon? I've already told you, it's supposed to stimulate hair growth. Why do we need to stimulate hair growth? Why indeed? However, ours is not to question why, Simon. The likes of you and I perform the tasks set out by the people who pay our wages. Such is life, eh? This game is very weird. I like it. The professor returns to his work, and I understand the conversation is over. I look back at the little cat. His name is Smokey. He's a Lakoi cat with very short, fine hair. A real sweetie. I suppose the professor is right. This is just my job. And although I feel terrible, I find a way to ignore the pangs of guilt and inject Smokey with the medication. He squeals, but it's over quickly, and he can return to his cage. How long does this usually take? The professor looks up again, slightly irritated. I don't know, Simon, but you're being paid to find that out, aren't you, my dear? Oh, yes, of course. I make note of the time and observe the cat. After 5 minutes, there's no noticeable change. 10 minutes, still no change. After half an hour, I think I notice his hair looks a little different, but I suspect my eyes are playing tricks on me. 1 hour in, and all of a sudden, I can see the hair is visibly longer. It seems to be continuing to grow. I must say I'm very impressed and a little confused. I decide to take a tea break. Smokey seems content to nap for a while. Can I get you a cup of tea, Professor? Oh no, I don't know how you can tolerate the foul stuff they brew up in the mess tent. I have my thermos of coffee here, thank you. Fair enough. I'll be back in a bit. I've only been gone for 10 minutes at the most, but when I enter with my mug of tea, I instantly notice the drama taking place in Smokey's cage. I find it hard to stifle a laugh. Oh my goodness, Professor, have you seen this? The professor looks up, exasperated by another interruption, but then he notices the cage. Oh my goodness. Oh dear, well, don't just stand there, Simon, get him out. I open the front of the cage and pull out the large hairball that Smokey has turned into. His fur tumbles over my arm as I cradle the bewildered cat. Well, I never. Very interesting, isn't it, Simon? I think it's still growing, Professor. I do believe you're right. Perhaps we should consider the clippers. The professor hands me a small set of silver electric clippers, and I immediately begin using them on the ever-expanding Smokey. I continue to shave for the next 15 minutes until he finally seems to run out of fur. My, that's a lot of hair. We both stand staring at the pile of fur at our feet. Just keep a small amount for testing and put the rest of it out the back. Mora can dispose of it later. Mora? Mrs. Marigold. Excellent work today, Simon. Most interesting findings. Thank you, sir. Although the results had nothing to do with me, I'm left feeling a tad guilty about Smokey's ordeal. As I place him back in his cage, I check for any signs of trauma, and when satisfied he's okay, I awkwardly take my leave. And of course there's another new research. Research 9. Okay, so I've got 2 romances and 2 recons left. I have to rest first. You had a lovely nap and wake up feeling revitalized. I'd like a lovely nap. Okay, so I'm gonna do a recon and then a romance and then a recon and then a romance and then research. Is my plan. Recon 7. Snoots has brought me something intriguing. I better check it out. Simon, are you still sleeping? You really ought to be awake by now. Snooty Booty, are you okay? What are you doing in my tent? All this lazing about is very bad for your complexion, to say nothing about the dragging effects on the delicate tissue around the eyes. Is there something I can help you with? Possibly. I have something I want you to look at. Right now? What time is it? Time you were active. Come along. Well, at least let me get ready. Very well. Snooty Booty sits down and starts grooming herself. After a moment, she looks up again. Why aren't you ready yet? Can you leave the tent so that I can get dressed? For goodness sake. Snooty Booty rolls her eyes and walks out. I get dressed, resignedly, and follow her. What do you think it is? I'm intrigued. We are on the beach, staring at a partially buried bottle, sealed inside a plastic bag. It looks as though it has only recently washed up. Well, there's really only one way to find out. I pull the bottle out of the sand. It has some kind of document or note in the bag, along with the bottle. What is that thing? Read it to me. It's a good thing I'm just as curious as Snooty, or I would be feeling a lot more irritable by now. I carefully unseal the bag and unfold the paper. I read the note out loud. Initial tests on the most recent formula are encouraging. Subjects 6 through 18 appeared visibly younger. Moderate to severe side effects noted, including increased hair growth and marked mood alteration. Subjects 1 through 5 had major complications. Some new, small tumors, skin irritation, partial blindness, and memory loss. We need you to look into this. Check for contaminants and continue to iterate on the formula. Appeared visibly younger. Snooty Booty, is that the most important thing you gathered from this report? You're quite right, Simon. We ought not to trust it. That note could have been written by anyone. We shall conduct our own experiment. Apply the cream to my skin. You lost your mind, Snooty Booty. Did you not hear what I read? What I read out? Tumors, blindness, memory loss. Statistics bore me. You should know that by now. Let's live a little. I'm willing to take the risk in the name of science. No, we're not taking any risks, Snooty Booty. You wait here while I go and get my kit bag from the lab. Let's see if we can't work out what this stuff is made of. I was hoping the lab would be free, but the professor is in here making some notes. Ah, hello, Simon. I thought you were taking a day off from the lab today. Oh yes, I am, Professor. Just, I wanted to check something. I can't take the test equipment away without the professor getting suspicious. I'll have to come up with some kind of excuse. I can make up an excuse, or I can try to take the equipment without him noticing. I'm gonna make up an excuse. Well, I wanted to get ahead on some of the field work. There are some samples I found that I think could be useful. I pick up the field kit bag. Popper looks up from his work. Oh? What sort of samples? I have to make this believable, but also invite no other questions. The samples are fecal. Fecal? Yes. A large poo, sir. It has rather interesting properties. Jolly good. Off you go, then. Nailed it. I take the bag and leave. As I approach the beach, it becomes clear that Snooty Booty has managed to break into the ointment. She appears to have spilled some and is now busy rolling around in it. Oh, Snooty Booty. Snooty Booty, what were you thinking? This could be very dangerous. The only danger here is with this ghastly sand sticking to my delicate skin. Do help me to get rid of it, Simon. It's just so large. Such a big poop. I try to wipe the sand off, but it is stuck like glue. Underneath a layer of sand, I can see her skin is very pink. There's no time to lose. I pick her up and run to the ocean, trying to use the seawater to clean off as much of the ointment as I can. Put me down. What on earth? I've never been so humiliated in my life. She twists out of my grip and scampers off in a huff. I think I got it all off, so I leave her to it. Now, back to the samples. There's not much I can do here on the beach, so I'll just have to wait until Professor Popper is finished in the lab. Well, that was quick. As luck would have it, the professor needed to retire from his tent earlier than usual. He has to read some research papers that arrived from the mainland this morning. So now I can continue looking into this ointment. Begin by testing the substances for several common compounds found in cosmetics, but it's negative for all of them. I widen the tests for other organic compounds. I get a match. About 30% of the ointment is... cat saliva? They're using saliva from the cats on the island. They could be infecting all their test subjects with catification. But where have these other side effects come from? I run the ointment again, this time looking for known pharmaceuticals. Before I can get the results back, a Snooty Booty comes trotting in. I just thought you should know that the security guard is coming this way. You should make yourself scarce before he arrives. Not that I care what happens to you after you threw me into the ocean. I've no time to finish this experiment now, but I will work on it later in the privacy of my tent. I take my things and run before Zane arrives. And since it's saving, this is a good time for me to stop and get back to work, because my lunch is almost over. Thanks for watching, Brian, and anybody who watches this in the future. I will continue to date cats later. Bye.